Together, let's embark on a scientific exploration of yoga, where you are the scientist, your heart is the laboratory, and you are the outcome. Welcome to this Sunday's program, Meditate with Daaji. In the last couple of weeks, Daaji showed us how our communication can become more effective and harmonious by cultivating a peaceful inner spiritual condition and letting this manifest in our outer interactions, and vice versa, how empathy and compassionate ways of behaving and communicating can help us grow spiritually. This week, we will continue our exploration of heartful communication by focusing on listening. How can we listen with the heart? And how this deep listening can transform our interactions.
Pranamji, many of you have now adopted heartfulness meditation practices, where you do morning meditation, evening cleaning, offering, nighttime prayer. It's wonderful. As I mentioned in the previous sessions when we meditate, it is really helpful to try to retain within ourselves during the entire day the peaceful condition we have gained. A deep meditative state can be the foundation for effective communication. This is what can give us the inner centeredness and open-hearted way of being that supports us to relate harmoniously with others and with ourselves also. Communication is actually an energy exchange. Imagine if you are not communicating with words, like toads, or like snakes, or like flowers, or like trees and bees. How would you communicate? It's actually an energy exchange, a tuning of vibrations. Every interaction is simultaneous flow and interchange between systems. But it's not like a table tennis match or taking turns and ping pong and back and forth. It's more like dancing or creating music together. You will have seen when musicians perform and the flute, the violin, the tabla, all they weave together like a conversation, perfectly in tune to each other, leading or following. What happens if one of the instruments is not in tune? It becomes painful to listen. Same thing is with communication. Because every communication is subtly shaped by who we are with at the time. For example, we don't communicate in the same way with our neighborhood as we do with, say, our child. A joke we share with a work colleague may not go down so well with our elderly parents. We speak differently with our spouse from how we might speak with our boss. Unless, of course, your spouse is your boss. That situation has its own unique challenges. Today, I want to speak about the importance of listening. I've often said that we hear in one ear and goes out from the other ear. Whereas when we listen with our heart, it sinks in. Through heartfulness meditation supported by pranayama, we tune into the heart's radar, and then we are more able to hear this music I was earlier referring to, that is flowing within me and between myself and others. We develop sensitivity to what is alive, to energies, to vibrations, to what is moving in each moment and what it is that might be struggling to emerge behind those mere spoken words. We are able to perceive the emotions behind those words. Learning to listen means focusing on what people mean and what they might be feeling that is unspoken. Not just on what they actually say. We know that facial expressions, eyes, the whole body, the hands, they do speak too. So can we become sensitive to this language also? It requires our mind to be quiet so that we can make space for the other. Give some room for what they want to share. We need to become empty, silent within, to let go of our agendas, of our judgmental thoughts and our prejudices. Listening without any prejudice and expectations makes us empty. It is this emptiness that creates the real magic. One becomes the witness. This is the power of presence in action. Inside we are silent, but our heart is open. Silence connects us with our deeper self. So we can see how regular silent meditation, cultivating this inner peacefulness, is such a powerful tool to help us to listen to ourselves and to others. Although we have all probably heard 100 of times about the vital importance of listening to others before we respond, it's amazing how much work there is still to be done to make this as a habit, conscious habit. You might now know the book by Dr. Stephen Covey, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Have you? I think if you have not read it, I wish you would take time and share it with your family. One of the effective habits he identifies is seek to understand before you are understood. Let me repeat. Seek to understand before you are understood. In other words, listen first. Try to understand the other person before you start talking about what you think or you feel. Saint Francis of Assisi's beautiful prayer also says that, O Divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we truly receive. Listening to others first goes far beyond being simply polite or considerate. It actively contributes to satisfying, fruitful interactions. Listening moves us closer to each other. It creates relationship. Don't we all want to be heard and understood? And it saves time and stress. Just as we want to be heard and understood, others also like to be heard and be understood. Only then communication can happen. Listening carefully will save you so much of time. Think of how much time gets used up in sorting out misunderstandings just because you didn't listen properly or the other person didn't listen properly. Apart from the tensions that arise between people who don't feel heard by each other. So often, even if we are not actually interrupting a speaker, we are itching for a moment when we can say what is in our mind. Response predominates. Dr. Stephen Covey pointed out that most people do not listen with the intent to understand. They listen with the intent to reply. In conversations, people so often jump in to tell their own story instead of hearing the other out. Oh, the same thing happened to me. And off they go, telling about an experience that was similar. And all the focus shifts to that person and their story. And the one who wanted to be heard is left high and dry. In heartful communication, we call these interruptions circuit breakers. Remember this word, circuit breakers, because they often disrupt the connection between people. It's almost like this, You have beautiful air conditioning working in your living room or bedroom, and there's a circuit breaking. What happens? You don't enjoy that room anymore. Similarly, when circuit breakers somehow triggers during communications, during discussions, it also interrupts the flow of our discussion. We offer unwanted advice in so many diverse ways. My Adiguru Pujya Lalaji Maharaj gave us one of the most singular principles of life that he himself exemplified with. He said, I quote, "Never offer advice unless invited, otherwise it is likely to yield bad results. If you find any fault with anybody, pray for his freedom from it." Unquote. So here is his guidance. Instead of giving advice, criticizing, or talking about someone behind their back, we can offer prayer. Most of us are very, very good at fixing or giving advice, and we are not at all good at simply listening. Like when we tell the person who is speaking to us not to feel what they're actually feeling. Don't be sad, or don't be angry, or don't be scared. We often say such things. It doesn't really help. You can't simply wipe away someone's feeling just by saying, don't feel sad, or be strong and courageous. Many of these circuit breakers come out of wanting to settle someone's problem to make it better. But often people need to be fully heard first. Someone told me how, when one of their twins had died, several people responded saying, "At least we have the other one. It's unfortunate though." Empathy doesn't begin with the words, "at least." The lady really needed empathy and understanding for her loss of one of the twins. And this reply, although it was meant well, intended to be comforting, actually left her feeling very alone with her grief. I heard of a large hospital that had a complaints box in which patients or the relatives would drop the written complaints or suggestions. Do you know 80% of these messages were not about the treatment or the facilities? Most of them stated, "No one listened to me. I just wanted to be heard." The best doctors and nurses are those who listen to us when we are anxious or distressed. When they are able to lend an empathetic ear to their patients, so much healing can happen then and there itself. Unfortunately, there can be times when we miss opportunities to be there to listen to someone who is in trouble, and we can deeply regret that moment. I will give you a very personal example. There was a friend of mine who was very close to me, and back in 1979, something went wrong in his marriage. A month later, he came to my hostel in Ahmedabad, and unfortunately, I was not in my room. He left a note, "Kamlesh, I came to see you to discuss few things. I hope to meet you again very soon." And he left. A week later, I heard the news that he had committed suicide. If I had the opportunity of listening to him, this was not a deliberate attempt. In not listening, it just happened like that. I could have maybe changed someone's life. When people can share their experiences, I don't just mean tragic situation like that one, but when people can tell their stories, they find it easier to manage their circumstances. And there can be profound spiritual benefit. We reduce the burden of samskars by listening properly. Sometimes maintaining silence, not a single word spoken, can grant someone a heartfelt satisfaction. For example, attending someone's funeral and later on visiting that family every evening. Speak no word, just be there. That is more than enough. There is more I would like to share about empathy and heartful listening, particularly when we are under pressure or in conflict situations. So we will continue with this next week. Lastly, here is an interesting fact. The word listen contains the exact same letters as the word silent. Prayer and meditations are the ways to listen to our inner self and have inner dialogue with God. In silence, we connect and are ready to listen to God. This week, I invite you all to begin your morning practice of meditation with heartfulness prayer. Begin your meditation in a prayerful state. Say the words of the prayer quietly to yourself and then reflect on them for a few minutes. This prayerful approach can give a special charge to our meditational practice. Try to hold on to that feeling during the day, and whenever you are in conversation, try and be as quiet as possible from inside, remaining absorbed in your inner state. Giving full attention to whoever you are with, even if it's just a moment's exchange between you. Let us all now meditate. You all know how to meditate, and perhaps some of you do not really know how to meditate in joining us for the first time. This is how we meditate. Heartfulness way of meditation, it's very simple. Feel relaxed. Remove all the distractions if you might have. Something like phones. And focus on the presence of divine light in our heart. Think that this divine light is attracting your attention inward. And retain this thought as long as you can. If by chance you happen to move away from this noble idea, when you're overwhelmed by so many thoughts, just remind yourself that right now I am meditating on the presence of divine light. Let's all begin meditation. That's all. बस कीजिए. Thank you, and see you all again next week at 9 a.m.